In 1971, the Assad family came to power in the country of Syria. And over the last 50 plus years, between a father and a son, they ruled that country politically and many other ways as well. But those 50 plus years were filled with a great deal of corruption and a great deal of oppression of the common man on the street. All of that came to an end this past Sunday, December 8, 2024, when that government has been overthrown. The book of Ecclesiastes talks about corruption in government in chapter 5, beginning at verse 8. In fact, it says, when you see oppression of the poor and perversion of justice and righteousness in the province, don't be astonished at the situation. It's kind of interesting that Solomon, being king, even says, don't be surprised when you see people mistreated, when you see people oppressed, obviously by governmental powers. He says, don't be astonished by that. And then he says, because one official protects another official and higher officials protect them. Some translations say one official looks over another official and so on. But I think the idea is that they sometimes get in cahoots together and protect one another. Verse 9 is a little bit of a difficult text, at least to my understanding from the original language in the Hebrew. But it says, the profit from the land is taken by all, the king is served by the field. And again, the different translations will translate, especially verse 9, in a variety of ways, and you'll have footnotes that will give you a variety of ideas as to what the meaning is there. But it seems overall, when you look at both verses together, the general meaning here is that even if there is a corrupt government, even if there is a government that's filled with all kinds of negative things, a less than ideal government, sometimes a less than ideal government is better than no government at all. Because no government at all is chaos, it's anarchy. In fact, the very country we were talking about a moment ago has some very questionable days ahead as to what's going to transpire and what's going to happen to the people and to the government. And so we're reminded of what we're told in Romans chapter 13, that every soul is to be subject to the higher powers. It's talking about government powers in that context because they are God's ministers. They are put there by God to serve the people. And yes, sometimes there may be corruption, or it may be less than ideal, but think of the alternative. If there is no government at all, that's total chaos. And while this is not an endorsement of bad government, and it's not an endorsement of overthrowing bad government either, we must realize that we live in the world, and it's run by people of the world, and as Christians, we must still be God's people.